Here, and are you still not subscribed to Matt's channel? Well, if you're not, hit the subscribe button because he's giving out free picks each and every week. Hope you have a good rest of your day.
UFC 291 live from Salt Lake City, Utah. Place still on my list to visit, close to Vegas, so next time I'm out there I probably will plan a trip around there. Excited main card. I'll be on the main card like usual, providing free picks, leans, price talk, and what to avoid like usual. Bonus this week, I will be breaking down the Crawford and Spence fight, short breakdown, and also what I think, free picks, and my thoughts on the fight. Systemsportscapping.com to become a client today. Guaranteed profit each year in each sport. Try handicap. You can find my records over there, resume, free picks, and much, much more. System Capping on all social media. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. We got free picks over there. Sports news, sports betting news. Everything System Capping is over there. Give me a follow. Much appreciated. Before we get into the UFC card, guys, I do got to talk about my big winner last week. This past week, I hit my biggest single ticket in history of System Capping with hitting on Brian Harman plus 11,000, guys. Outright winner at the Open Championship. I found a lot of value at that price. I priced him at about plus 8,000. I do pricing on each of my bets, so I do find value, right? Plus 8,000, plus 11,000. It's one reason I bet it. I also bet it that this is his best course fit in a major. A link style course. Played well the week before at a link style. Played well in history in his links courses in the past. Also has a T6 last year. So he's a top 6 golfer last year at the Open. The form was great, so there's value there at plus, 11,000. It's not just, I bet him because you see a few stupid comments, when people post it, trolls, guys that are jealous, not a part of the system, say, you probably just bet all the guys that are plus 11,000 or plus 12,000 and just bet all of them. No, I don't do that. That was my only one that was close to that amount. Most of mine were in the plus, I think, 2,000 range, in between 2,000, 1,500 range. Did have a few favorites that I liked. But I bet anywhere from 2 to 5 outrights for the most part, most tournaments. So I found a lot of value there with Harman. We also backed him in the top 40 market at plus 125. So lots of value there on Harman. Big outright winner. Clients are very happy. I'm obviously very happy. Obviously it pays. You can invest until the NFL season, which is smart, but it pays for a nice trip that I want to go on anywhere I want to go, really. So that's always nice to have. Like this video, guys, if you're watching on YouTube, of course. If you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get podcasts, review it. It does help me out a lot. Let's do a UFC London recap, and it was an up and down card last week. Past few weeks have been up and down. Let's start off with the main event, though, right? Aspinall shines in the main event as expected. I didn't expect anything less than Aspinall finishing the fight a little quicker than I expected, of course, right? It was within the first few minutes, maybe less than that. And Aspinall, he's just very quick on his feet for a heavyweight. Very well-rounded. We obviously didn't get to see any grappling in this fight, but he is very well-rounded as a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. But he's just very quick on his feet with power. He's a nightmare for anyone. I love to see the John Jones fight first, but I do expect him to maybe fight the winner of Gane and Spivak. However, if Spivak wins, I don't expect him. He already beat Spivak. So I expect maybe if Gane wins, I think that's a nice matchup. Gane versus Aspinall, both very quick on the feet, right? I love to see how that fight goes. I expect Aspinall to take him down to the ground and beat him there, just like John Jones did. So I personally, I know he made that call out. I personally would like to see Aspinall against Pavlovich, the Russian. That'd be a great fight. Both guys have power on the feet. We haven't seen, the Pavlovich, the Russian, get into grappling style fights, and maybe that's where it goes, and Aspinall would have the advantage there. That's a fight I would want to see, but we'll see what happens there. Molly McCann, right, the co-main event. Upset there, I guess you would say it's an upset. I did mention it. I personally had Molly McCann, but I did mention it to you guys. If you're going to bet Sturienko, you bet it by submission. That's the only path that she's going to win the fight. And that's back-to-back fights where I said the only path is by submission, and both times they won. Bruno Silva, only path was to win by submission. She caught her, right? Same with this fight. Molly McCann's takedown defense and submission defense is not good. So I thought if Molly McCann could keep the fight on the feet, she would win the fight. But she wasn't able to. She got caught with she threw a terrible hook, I think it was, and then got taken down from that hook because she missed. And Sturienko, not known to take down, fighters easily, but that was going to be her game plan here. Caught her in her famous armbar that she's great at, and won there. So if you did bet Sturienko, hopefully you got the bigger plus money with the submission, because that was the only way she was going to win the fight, was by submission. I had a single bet winner. It was my biggest single bet winner on the card. It was Lerone Murphy. I had a full unit on him. Loved him in that spot. He won fairly easily. Stays undefeated. Like what I see from the guy. I'd like to see him maybe in the top 15 soon. He's fighting fairly low-level guys, so I would like to see him, get that step up in competition next time. Nathaniel Wood, we did have a decision bet on him, plus money. He did win a close decision. Good fight, very close decision. I did think he won the first and third. I think he lost the second round fairly easily, but that was a good fight. I expect that to be a good fight, and it was. Wood gets another win. Feely, it was a close fight. If Feely won the fight, it wouldn't have been like a robbery. I don't think it was. I think it was very close. So I do think Nathaniel Wood did enough in that aspect there. A couple other upsets though, right? Craig pulling off a nice upset by a ground and pound finish over Munoz. I did not see that happening. I liked Munoz to get the job done, and he was winning the fight up until he got taken down and then just caught on the ground and TKO'd finish. I guess Craig moving down gave him the strength advantage. That's what it kind of looked like there, even though it didn't really look like in the weigh-ins. But good win for Craig, big win for Craig. That's back-to-back losses for Munoz. So that is interesting there. But it was a even card for myself, 3-3 on the week in London for myself and clients. 5 straight profitable weeks before that, before last week. So a little two weekend skid here in the UFC. We were cooking before that, and all the way up to close to 70% on our plays. Now back down to close to 65-66% on the year. 70% 2-fight parlays, plus 62.9 long-term in the UFC market. 7 straight profitable years. PGA, hottest sport right now. The past month, 67% matchups on the year. 3 outright winners in the last 7 events, guys. With 2 huge tickets with plus 8,000 on Grillo. Harmon last week at plus 11,000. And then Fowler at 1,400. Ticket value in the outright market just under 26,000, guys. It's been a huge year in the outright market due to hitting those big tickets. Prop market also has been outstanding. Another profitable one last week. 86.5 units long term in the prop market. NFL is around the corner, guys. Over 60 units of profit in the last 2 years. Back-to-back future winners in the Super Bowl. Future betting card out end of August. Let's get right into this card, guys. Shop around. Have access to multiple sports books. I can't stress that enough. You get the best price, get the best prop out there. Poirier, minus 150 versus Gaethje, plus 125. That's pretty much the line out there. I agree with the pricing here. BMF title is on the line. Some of you may not agree with that. Some of you guys may be, questionable about this BMF title, but it makes sense as these two guys fighting for it. Let's be honest here, guys. The rematch we all want to see, right? Two of my favorite fighters to watch, and they're headlining this card here in Utah. Poirier does have the one win, right? Over Dustin already in 2018. He finished him by submission in the 4th round. It was a while ago. I can say both guys maybe improved over time. Definitely Gaethje has improved. The line is about right here. Like I mentioned, Dustin should be the rightful favorite due to the win already, and just both where they're at in their career. I think it's fairly even of where they're at in their career, but that win, right? And also, I do have obviously Poirier as the more well-rounded guy. He has more paths to win this fight. In my opinion, Gaethje's path is only to catch him on the feet and hurt him, where Poirier has the advantage to hurt him on the feet, also win by submission. So he does have an extra path to win, in my opinion. Right? We know Gaethje, his path obviously on the feet, hurt you with the big power. He does have some wrestling in his back pocket. We just don't see him use it enough. We've seen a little bit in the fight, but Poirier obviously has some wrestling as well, and he's going to be, if Gaethje does bring him down to the ground, he'd probably be worried about that submission from Poirier. I don't think it gets there. Most fights that we see with Gaethje, it's on the feet. He likes to strike. He likes to use those leg kicks. And that's where he's going to have the advantage over Poirier. The leg kicking game, the kicking game in general, and of course the power on the feet. Poirier obviously has power on his feet, don't get me wrong. He's going to be the better, cleaner boxer in there. And like I said, he will have the grappling advantage, of course. It'll be interesting to see, though, if Gaethje does decide to try to wrestle. This is a 5-round fight. Low odds that I see it going all 5 rounds, right? I do see it going fairly deeper in the fight, somewhere maybe the last time where it went 4 rounds, right? We saw the submission win by Poirier going to 4 rounds. I could see it again going to that type of range, 3rd, 4th, maybe even the 5th round. These guys are going to take punishment throughout the fight. Poirier mentioned in an interview already this week, if this goes 5 rounds, both of them are going to be in the hospital. And I agree with that. There's just too many big shots throughout the fight from both guys for going all 5 rounds. I have a hard time seeing it go 5 rounds. That's probably my favorite play in this whole fight not to go the distance. But also, to go over the earlier rounds, over 2.5 rounds, if you can get that. Obviously, you'll probably pay a premium on that, but that would be my favorite play overall in this fight. I am going to lean Poirier, though. The price is okay at -150. If you want to improve it, you can get it by finish at plus money. But, just to lay the -150 is not the end of the world. So I would look that way. Tough to call by submission or TKO style KO finish. We did see obviously submission in the first fight. You could also look and lean that way. That's probably Gaethje's weakness. He does get submitted when he loses fights. But I'm going to have to look Poirier way. It's going to lean Poirier. It hasn't made my client card. Like I mentioned, my favorite play is probably the fight not to go the distance. But Poirier, obviously, he has that one win. Poirier struggles when the guy can out-grapple him, right? His last 2 losses since years and years has been Khabib and Charles Oliveira. Guys that have the submission game, guys that can get the fight down to the ground or pull off a submission. Gaethje, I don't have him in that category. If Gaethje is more a stander, banger, has the heavy hands, Poirier can handle that. And he has in the past. So the play is going to be Poirier for video purposes. Hasn't made my client card as of yet. But hey, I'm excited for this fight more than anything. If I don't bet this fight, I'm just going to be excited to watch it. Jan Blachowicz, -120 versus Pereira, +100. Alex Pereira moves up to fight Jan, similar to the Israel, right? He tried to move up to fight Jan when he was a champion. Didn't work out for him. Let's see if it works out for Pereira. It's a title shot. Remember, guys, vacant title. Hill gave it up because he did get hurt. Interesting to see how this one will go. Hard to stay off Pereira here at plus money. Hard to stay off it, right? I expect him to be, the much faster guy in there on the feet. He's training his grappling and wrestling in the rivers with Glover. Correction at the top here. Not a title fight. It's a 3-round fight. A 3-round fight here. Getting right back to that, though. Training and wrestling and grappling with Glover to get better. He continues to get better, Pereira, with his wrestling and grappling. That's all he needs to really focus on, in my opinion. We know he can stand and bang and strike with the best. That's not going to be the issue here. He's going to be faster than Jan. He's going to be better on the feet than Jan. he's going to hit harder than Jan. The question is he going to be able to keep the fight on the feet? That's going to be the question here. It's going to be similar to the Israel fight. Jan found his way in the wrestling department against Israel. But let's not get this twisted. Jan is not a wrestler, guys. Okay? He's a striker. Before that Israel fight, he hasn't been getting fight down to the ground. Right? He's 53% accuracy, and that's mainly due to the Israel fight. Before it was below 50%. He's not a guy that looks to get the fight down to the ground and like try to chain wrestle. He's a guy that likes to box, throw some leg kicks as well, and keep the fight standing for the most part. Now, I don't think that should be his path here. I expect him to try to wrestle, but is Pereira going to be able to keep it on the feet for the most part? It's 3 rounds, so hopefully Pereira is able to do that if you're going to back him. I am going to back him here just because it's plus money. It's plus money, and he's the much better striker on the feet, the quicker guy there, in my opinion. Jan's decent on the feet, don't get me wrong. He's slower now, he's older now. He still has that power, though. He's not going to knock out Pereira, right? He's not going to catch him, in my opinion. I think he's a little too slow for that. Right, Israel, where he's fast and he did catch Pereira. Jan, I don't think, has that speed where he can catch Pereira on the feet. Way Jan wins this fight is to wrestle and hold him down on the ground. Very possible, right? Pereira doesn't have great takedown defense. He can be taken down. We've seen that. How much is this training with, Glover and the Rivers and just chain wrestling from his guy training partners in there? How much is it going to help? We're going to see here. Just because of plus money, it's very hard to stay off Pereira for me. I'm going to have to back Pereira here. He has a big enough body to get up to 205, where Israel doesn't, right? Remember, Israel, when he moved up to 205, he wasn't even 205. He was like around 200 pounds, right? So Jan probably came into that fight at 230. You got to keep that in mind, guys. Pereira is a much bigger body. So, yes, sure, Jan could have success bringing down to the fight. I think this favors Pereira. That's a 3-round fight. Keep that in mind. I'm going to have to play Pereira plus 100. Probably will make my client card. Hasn't as of yet. I'm going to watch the weigh-ins, of course. But, yeah, it's hard for me to stay off this plus 100 here. Pereira is going to be the play for video purposes. Thompson, minus 160 versus Pereira. Plus 130. This is a fun one, guys, on paper. But are the styles going to clash, right? So another exciting fight, in my opinion. Both guys have similar karate styles on the feet, with Thompson probably be more crisp, more of a master of style, and more technical, where Pereira, very difficult to read at times, right? He's a little more wild in there, but still has that karate style. And we have seen Pereira really grow into, a real fighter and a more disciplined fighter, using a more of an MMA approach, not to try to keep it on the feet and being wild. He's been using his wrestling, right? And 4 of those, out of his last 5 wins, 4 of them went to decision. It was because he decided to grapple and wrestle and mix it up. That's going to have to be the path here again. But can you trust him to do that? Is he going to want to try to make an exciting style fight? If you're going to try to win by decision on the feet against Thompson, it's not going to happen. Thompson's going to win the fight. But if you mix it up and take a page out of the Bilal Muhammad and Gilbert Burns fight, you're going to have success, in my opinion, and he is going to be stronger than Thompson in here. Remember, Thompson has some decent takedown defense. Everyone thinks he doesn't have great takedown defense, but it's fairly good. It's just guys that continue to chain wrestle and try to take down the fight like Burns and Muhammad did, you're going to have some success. And I think Pereira can do that. It's just, will he? Will he focus on that? Will he just decide to make it ugly, boring, and try to get this fight down to the ground? If this fight stays on the feet for 3 rounds, Thompson wins by decision, in my opinion. I think this fight goes over the 2.5 rounds, and the fight goes the distance either way. 3-round fight. I expect to go all 3 rounds. If Pereira does have success, I don't think he's going to submit Thomas on the ground, but he's just going to bring him down a few times, have some success there with ground control, and win that way. I don't think he's going to have a ton of success on the feet, guys, if it stays there. Due to that, I'm not going to say Pereira's like a big-time wrestler either. He's not. Right? And due to that, I think Thompson does enough on the feet and does keep it on the feet enough. And with Pereira IQ at times, even though it is better, I'm going to give him that credit there. I'm going to have to lean Thompson here to steal, a decision win due to landing more on the feet. I wouldn't be surprised, though, Pereira can get this fight down to the ground. So this is probably not going to make my client card. I do think there's a path for both guys to win it. And in this case, it's going to be Pereira to use his wrestling, make the fight boring, and chain wrestle, grapple, and get the fight down to the ground. Is he going to do that for 3 rounds? I don't know. You don't know. Nobody knows, but maybe him and his team. And is he going to have the success of taking down Thomas time and time again? I don't know, right? So that's why I'm not probably able to get to the client window, client card for this due to that on a side standpoint. But I do like the fight to go over 2.5 rounds and the fight go to the distance. That's what probably will make my client card in some aspect this weekend. Bobby Green, minus 400 versus Tony Ferguson. Yes, Tony Ferguson is still fighting. Not too sure if it's a great idea, guys. If you said these two guys were fighting 2 years ago and Bobby Green would be minus 400, I would probably say you guys are crazy. Ferguson does seem to be a little washed up now. Not much left in the tank, in my opinion. 5 straight losses for Tony. And yes, against top-tier guys. Now, I wouldn't say Diaz is top-tier guy now at the end of his career. I just don't see how really Ferguson wins this fight, right? I know how he can win it, is get the fight down to the ground and find a submission, but he's not a wrestler. He's not a guy that just gets the fight down to the ground. Bobby Green has decent takedown defense as well. So I expect Green to just keep this on the feet, win probably by decision on the feet with his boxing and crisp movement. I don't see really how Ferguson wins this fight. That's why it's minus 400. Can you bet Bobby Green at minus 400? No, you cannot. Maybe look at a decision. Bobby Green really doesn't have that power. He's more of a decision win type of fighter. So I would look at Bobby Green here to win this fight. Ferguson, I just don't think he has a ton of left. I've been watching his training. It just doesn't look great from what I've seen, at least. Maybe they're not releasing some other training. He's just kind of more in his own world right now. A little mental health issues as well, I think. I just wouldn't be able to get, even though there's some very good value at plus 300 and also Bobby Green on a little fight skid here. 2 losses and a no contest. All right, Bobby Green is unpredictable at times too. Not a guy you want your money on sometimes, especially at minus 400. So, yes, I think Green gets it done, probably by decision, just piecing him up on the feet. I don't think Ferguson really has much left in the tank. Kisa plus 125 versus Holland minus 150. Could be another fun one, but we also could see a boring style if Kisa just decides to chain wrestle and try to continue to get Holland down to the ground. Kisa attempting to chain wrestle, get this fight down to the ground should be the game plan for him. We know he's not a great striker. Holland's going to have the chance at some point to hurt him on the feet. Right? He's going to have a big advantage on the feet, in my opinion. Grappling department, Holland's a very good high-level black belt. It's just when he gets down to the ground and fights wrestlers, the guy can keep him usually on top of him. If Kisa is able to keep Holland down on the ground and get some control time there, that's how Holland usually loses fights, right? Obviously, when Holland went up against Stephen Thompson last time on the feet, not a great matchup. Thompson's one of the best strikers in the UFC. Kisa, totally opposite. 0 striking, in my opinion, with a solid wrestling game. So we're going to see, right? Kisa, keep in mind, been out for almost 2 years. Had some injury concerns, had some losses in there when he stepped up and tried to fight guys like Brady, right? He had that step up. He had that Vince Luque fight as well. When he moved up, Kisa, he was getting some wins, but when he moved up, that's when it was concerning. Can't say Holland's a move up here. I think it's fairly even here, so there is value there with Kisa at plus 125. He could easily just win this fight by decision due to his takedowns. I can clearly see that path. But I can also see Holland hurting him on the feet, where Kisa is going to struggle to get Holland down because he's maybe hurt at some point in the fight. Holland has some power on his feet, guys. Remember, he hurts guys on his feet when they're especially not good strikers. And when he fights guys that can just wrestle and chain wrestle, he usually gets a couple shots in there before it gets there. So keep that in mind. This fight's not going to make my client card. This is a fight I usually find maybe one fight to pass on. I would suggest this one. If you're going to look for some plus money, if you can get Kisa by decision, plus 1 in the plus 300 range, I'd maybe suggest a small unit there. This fight's not going to get my card. I don't like the Kisa sitting out 2 years. Not too sure really what he has left in the tank. Right, he's doing a lot of commentary lately. And we know Holland can be dangerous on the feet. So this fight is going to be a big pass for me. Bonus, we have one of the biggest fights in boxing that we have seen in a long time, guys. Crawford minus 150 versus Spence plus 120. Prices vary from book to book. I don't bet boxing at a high volume, but when there's big fights, I do my research. I follow boxing. I watch boxing. I'm 5-1 betting on boxing in the past few years. I don't bet a ton. I bet big fights only. This is one of them where I was able to handicap and really do some research. We wanted to see this for years, this fight. A couple of years now, it finally is happening. It's finally here. And boxing's starting to put on the big fights that people want, which is exciting to see. We obviously seen with Tank and Garcia. This fight, I think, is going to be even better. You know, both undefeated. Crawford, with more experience, 38 wins compared to Spence's 28. Crawford has 29 KOs, Spence 22. Height is about the same. Inch favors Spence, but Crawford does have a 2-inch reach advantage. My favorite play in this fight would probably for it to go all 12 rounds, go to the distance. Over 10.5 rounds would be my look here if I had to bet it. And if you want a side standpoint, I would have to look at Crawford. I do think he's a more technical guy. If you want to improve that price from minus 150, not a bad price. You look at the decision and get that at plus money for Crawford to win by decision. I think Spence maybe has a little more power, can hurt him, but I think Crawford is very good defensively. I think he's going to be able to see that power shots from Spence and avoid them. I just don't see anyone getting finished in this fight. I have a hard time seeing that. Both guys obviously never lost before, so obviously they've never been finished. But if there is a finish, I think it's late in the fight. 10, 11, 12 rounds. So the over 10.5 rounds, I think, is a good bet there. Fight to go the distance as well. Those are going to be probably my favorite plays. The over 10.5 rounds, probably a little juicy, but if you can shop around, right? You can get it in the low, probably mid to high minus 100. So shop around for that. But yeah, I'm going to have to back Crawford here. Obviously, a little more experience. I think he's one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world. Again, the technique, I think, is going to win him this fight. I think his defensive abilities will be able to avoid the big punches, like I mentioned, and the movement from Crawford will win him this fight. It's going to be close, in my opinion. If it does go to the judges' scorecards, don't be surprised if, who won that fight? Type of fight, right? So that's why I see a little more value on the over 10.5 rounds than the fight to go the distance. Exciting fight weekend, guys. You know what you guys should be doing Saturday, watching this card and the Crawford. I don't really know if it's going to interfere the main event and the boxing. I'll have to look into that. I think hopefully right after. If not, I'll have a couple screens going anyways. Like I always say, guys, bet smart and know your limits. Enjoy this card.